Hey guys, Tasha here from Start a School Crochet. Welcome to part 3 of the Fair Isle Cow. And this week's, there I go again. Today, Friday's tutorial is going to be on actually how to change colors. We're going to work the knit stitch. We're going to go over some frogging and how to frog with Fair Isle, which is different than just normal frogging because Fair Isle is kind of in depth. And then we're going to go over the first few rows and how to create a foundation single crochet row. And we're also going to learn a few techniques for doing Fair Isle. And then on Sunday, we're going to work through the first few rows 3 through 12. And I'm going to post this in pieces, but you're welcome to go ahead and buy the pattern on Ravelry or Etsy. I put a coupon up there for 40% off. So that's quite a deal, but I'd rather you work and wait and we can work it together. And my pattern support group is Start a School Crochet. Start a School Crochet and Friends on Facebook. So let's get to it. This is Fair Isle, what it looks like on the inside. The yarn is floated. It's not using tapestry crochet, which you can actually do reverse. This is actually just floated behind, so it's not reversible, but it's the technique uses. And this, my friends, is super messy. I mean, super messy. I'm going to show you one that I did after. That was my very first hat. So this is what I did after. This is my Meow Beanie. You guys, this is not free yet, but I'm going to make it free. So I'm going to put it on. It's kind of tall, but you can wear it like this and slouch it down a bit, but the brim you can turn up, which is really cute. Meow. But okay, so this was done with using a graph as well, and this was done after I started doing more and got more practice doing Fair Isle style crochet. You can always work this in tapestry too, but I really like the Fair Isle. So let me show you what the inside looks like. This is what the inside looks like, and that is much better than this. See, I got better, and you will too. So it just takes practice and technique. So I'm going to show you these techniques today on how to get a nice looking inside of your Fair Isle hat. And yeah, that's it. So let's get to it and keep watching the video. It'll just go on from here. We're going to do our foundation single crochet. I'm also switching up the yarn this week. I'm going to use this tweed yarn from I Love This Yarn, and I'm also going to mix it up with a couple of the, this is from Knit Picks and their tweed as well, which I like the tweed colors. It's really pretty. I just wanted to try a different yarn and see how I like it. The I Love This Cotton, I wasn't real happy with the way it looked on the first video I did, so I wanted to kind of change it up so you can see the stitches better, and also just to play around with an acrylic yarn instead of a cotton yarn, which I've heard is a lot easier to work this stitch through with than the cotton yarn. So maybe do it first time with an acrylic and then switch it up to the cotton if you get more advanced in your technique with it. Okay guys, happy crocheting. All right, are you guys ready to do this? So here's my written pattern, and the first few rows are going to be a foundation single crochet row, and we're going to do, you can do 60 for the toddlers or 90 for adult size. And I mentioned this before, but I want to mention again, if it seems too big, it might seem a lot bigger than it's going to be, because the actual circumference is going to be drawn in at the end when we work the brim of the hat, because the brim of the hat is actually worked last. So what we're going to do today is work over our foundation single crochet row. We're going to do our first row of stitches, and then we're also going to start working on the first few rows of the hat. We're going to do rows 1, 2, and 3, and then on Sunday we're going to start doing the rest of the hat, and we're going to work these other rows. Hey guys, so let's get started. I actually just worked through this entire thing using my 6mm hook. doing the foundation single crochet. I got to about 81 and it was way too large. This is a regular worsted weight acrylic. The tension on the first foundation single crochet row needs to be tighter. Try to get those 15 knit stitch or 15 stitches within 4 inches if you can. So I'm going to do this video over. I already did one, but I erased it. So I'm going to start this off with a 5.5 millimeter hook for the foundation row with this acrylic yarn. If you're using the I Love This Cotton, I recommend just trying to get that 15 stitches into the 4 inches for this first brim of the hat, or not the brim, but it's close to the brim, it's the forehead. So to do a foundation single crochet, we're going to go over that. You're going to do a slip knot, insert your hook into the hole, then you're going to chain 2. After you do that, you insert your hook into the first chain, grab your yarn, pull through a loop, then you're going to grab your yarn and pull through the first loop only, grab onto the bottom 2 loops of that loop you just created, then yarn over and pull through both, and that's your first foundation single crochet. To do the second stitch, you're going to insert your hook into those 2 that you were holding on to, grab your yarn, pull up, chain 1, or just yarn over and pull through. I like to say chain 1. Grab onto those 2 bottom guys, yarn over and pull through both. This right here, just tighten it up a little bit, you're good. And then you continue that by inserting your hook into the bottom 2 loops, pull up a loop, chain 1, grab onto those 2 little guys. It makes it a lot easier because then you know exactly where you're going to put your hook for the next one. Like that, pull up, pull through 1 and 2. So we're going to do 90 stitches like this in the foundation single crochet. If you're doing the toddler hat, you're going to work 60. And try to make the tension somewhat tight on this first row so that the sizing won't be too big. When we work the brim, that's where it's going to draw everything in. So it's going to be bigger than your head, or a lot bigger than your head. You're going to draw it in at the end so that and it's a slouchy hat, so I just wanted to remind everybody it's a slouchy hat. So that's why I wanted to make it big and then draw it in so it would slouch. So try to get your 15 into 4 inches here. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I'm going to see if I can't get my own 15. So that's 11, 12. I'm working really tight. 13. 14, and let me see, 15. I'll have to get my ruler. There I have my 15. Let's see how close to 4 inches I got. Holy mackerel. I might be a professional crocheter. So it looks like I got my 15 into 4 using the 5.5 with an acrylic yarn. Just try to match that, and then we're going to do 90 around, and you can go ahead and pause the video and we'll come back after you do your 90. Okay, I hope you guys, that wasn't too hard for everybody. So I have my 90 here, and it measures around, I'm going to try to measure it. I think I got my gauge right. I hope I got my gauge right. And like I said, when you put it around your head, it's going to be a lot bigger. So you're going to draw it in at the brim. So mine measures about, there's 12. I'm going to pull it on over. 12 plus 10. Mine is measuring about 22 inches, a little over 22 inches. So when we draw, the average size head for an adult is 22.5 inches. or 22 inches. So actually when we do our brim, it's going to draw it in, and this actually stretches a little bit, so don't be scared of that either. But all right, so we're finished with that. I'm going to use the same hook to close it. So, you know, when you're working this way, you want to follow down with your finger all the way to the end, and then you're going to flip that over and just bring that end over like that, so you don't have any twists in it. Just go back through and make sure with your finger that there's no twists. And then we're going to join into the very first stitch that we created with a slip stitch. And then the first round, or the first row we're going to do, is a row of single crochet. So first we're going to chain one, but I'm going to switch to my 6mm hook now. And actually I'm going to wait to use this one until I start doing the changing colors. So chain one, we're going to work into the same as our join, a single crochet. And remember, these are going to be the stitches we're going to work into for row 3. So you want to make them loose, because these are, otherwise it'll be really difficult to get through. So when you make your single crochet, go through and just kind of tug it up just a little bit, then do your single crochet. And it might be a little extra step, or just loosen your tension. Don't be afraid of the tension, because any kind of oversize that we have will get fixed with the brim of the hat. You want to just keep them loose, so that when you go into them the next time with your other hook, that they'll be loose and you can just kind of get through them. And a way to test it, see how your tension is to just go ahead and grab your other hook you're going to use, hook it. See how easy it is to push it back up to the 6mm point, because, you know, tapered hooks are smaller right here. So it might seem like, oh yeah, it's fine. But when you start doing the next ones, trust me, you want to push it all the way back. So if it goes back easily, then your tension is good. And I really don't like these hooks. So just hook it, put it through, see if it goes all the way back, if it works good. They're just snaggy. That's the only reason I don't like them. You have to angle them like this, and I'm not used to working like that. But I guess it's just preference. Some people are really good at these hooks. I'm not. So there you go. Okay, anyway. So do your whole row of single crochet. We're going to join into the chain one when we come back. All right, so I have completed my my first 2 rows. When you have, and it's joined, and I think that there's no twisties, thankfully. So this guy here, the tail, just, you can whip stitch it around, just sew it together like that to close off that part. I haven't joined yet, so I'm going to show you guys where to join. Join into the chain one, and I like, you just hook it back if it's a little tight. Just hook that back a little bit. And we're joining into the chain ones because you want your knit stitch to, oops, I think I messed up that because this loop was a little loose when I did it. Because you want your knit stitch to be in the very first stitch of your round. So your single crochet is right here, which is right next to it, if you guys can see that. So starting with the graph, we're going to start doing the first couple rows. I said I was going to do rows 3 to 12 on Sunday, but I think this might be good to just get started on it. So so we're going to start off with the color blue, which I'm using. This is red on the graph, but I'm using blue for my main color, and then going to use this tweed color as my contrasting color. So get both of your yarns ready and have them pulled out so it's loose and you don't have to fuss around with much stuff. So the first stitch we're going to work we're going to do alternating stitches, red, white, red, white, red, white. In my case, it'll be blue, white, blue, white. So the first stitch, I'm going to switch to my other hook because this hook is easier to use. So you're going to find your stitch, and I hope you guys can see this okay, but here's my first single crochet. This is where I joined. So the first single crochet of the V's, you're going to see them, there's the top of the stitch, which is where you would normally join into these two, the top two loops. Follow those top two loops down, you'll see there's one leg there, and then there's one leg there. So just pull on that right leg and insert your hook directly through the center and out the back of the middle of the single crochet. Can you see where it is right there? You're just straight down through the middle of it. So that is your knit stitch. The knit stitch is about stitch placement. Instead of placing it through the top two loops like that, you're placing it directly in the center of the two legs of the single crochet. So when you see a single crochet, you'll see it has these two little guys right there. I know I'm being a little long-winded about it, but a lot of people have trouble with this stitch, so I wanted to just be as specific as possible. So just pull this through and then diagonal, kind of make it, instead of, you're not going straight like this, that makes it very difficult. Even though it ends up being that way, you kind of want to grab it and then angle it towards your finger. And I got a callus on this finger when I first did this stitch. So when you're going to pull through, and then before you complete, I'm going to redo that because my first loop is a little loose. So you're going to grab your yarn, pull through, and you're going to pull up a little bit just like you did before, but before you complete the stitch, you're going to change your colors. I'm going to get the graph out of the way so it's a little distracting. Okay, so, and I'm going to zoom in. So you're going to lay your yarn over your hook, and then you're going to complete your stitch with your new color. And that's how you work the entire pattern when you're switching colors. So where's my other then? Okay, there it is. So here's where you're going to decide which yarn you want on top and which one on the bottom. Because it's alternating rows, I'm going to go ahead and keep the contrasting color on top and my main color on the bottom. So for the next stitch, you want to keep your yarns like this the entire time, one on top and one on bottom, and that'll make it easier. So here you can see I've done my first knit stitch through the center. I'm going to do my second one through the center of the next one, and just like before, you're going to go above this yarn and you're going to grab it, and then you're going to pull that yarn back up, wrap it around your hook, and complete the stitch with that new yarn. You'll see it's loose. Don't worry about it being loose. You need it to be loose. And then we're going to do the next stitch with our main color. So you want to go underneath and just grab it, pull it through, pull up on it a little bit, and then complete the stitch with your contrasting color. And you repeat that. So you'll be tempted, don't go underneath this yarn. You want that one down below, like that. This is what gives you a neat appearance in the back. And if your stitches are loose enough, you're not going to struggle with this stitch. It's simply stitch placement. You're doing a single crochet, you're just doing it through the center of the previous single crochet as opposed to the top two loops. And remember, you're not gonna enclose your main color or whatever color you're using for the bottom. You want to get it down below. And I'm working very loose, as you can see. Wait, I messed up. Oh, here's a perfect opportunity to teach the frogging. So you can see it's already starting to shape up. As you work, you'll see the knit stitches start to shape up more. But frogging, let's do the frogging. So say you messed up your pattern and you need to go back. When you're working with the 2 yarns like this, luckily that technique I just taught you is going to help you not twist them up. Sometimes if you do it the other way, they get twisted and then you have to fix your yarn. So frogging, of course, if you mess up, you're gonna pull out one, keep it up top, like away, and then pull the other one down to the bottom, keep the other one up top, pull the other one down to the bottom, up top, etc. That helps. It really helps to try to keep them separate so they just don't get tangled and you don't waste a bunch of time trying to fix it like that. So I think that's it for today. So work those rows. Oh wait, no, okay, we need to come back and we do need to do a join, show you how to join and then how to start the next row. But it's fairly self-explanatory, but we'll go ahead and do that. Oh, and I thought I'd mention keeping the tension with the main color or the color that you're using for the bottom. I usually just put my one finger right here, try to hold it with my pinky and my other fingers, and for the main color I'm just holding it with my pinky to try to get it to give it tension, and then sometimes wrapping it around this second finger to give it just a tad more tension. But you really just want to kind of keep these stitches loose. It helps keep them separate though, and then you can kind of just wrap them around. Wait. Takes some getting used to, especially switching the colors, but once you master this stitch, it's a lot of fun, and you obviously will go a lot faster once you master it. But it does take a bit of practice, especially for those people out there who like to crochet tight, because you really just want to pull up on those stitches after each stitch. Not too much, but enough to make it so that when you do the next round, you're not struggling to get your hook through the center of these stitches. So I'm going to do my 90, and then we're going to come back around and work the rest of it. Alright, so I've come up on the last of my stitch, the very last stitch. So the last stitch of our chart or our graph is a white stitch, and the first stitch of our next, well actually we've already done that. The first stitch of our next round is going to be white. So we want to make sure that we actually close out with white for that, so that we could go straight into white. So our last stitch is going to be white. So we're just going to drop our blue yarn, keep it there. Actually, we need to close out with the color that starts for our next round. So that's one other tip that you're going to need to learn. So go ahead and close out the stitch with the white, since white is the very first stitch, and then we're going to join into the chain one. So here might be a little tricky. We know that this is our first blue stitch, this is our first white stitch, and as you can see, I personally cannot even see the two legs of my single crochet. I think they're hiding. There they are. But see how tight that got? It's right there. They're so tiny. So this is how this gets a little difficult. So I'm going to go ahead and do my join into the chain one. And I'm going to pull it through and slip stitch it. And then I'm going to try to find the legs of my first single crochet. I know there's my second one. Here's my first single crochet, but I can't even see those legs. Can you guys? Where are they? I think they're there. Let's see. So in a case like this, I'm just going to wing it. because I can't seem to find them. So I'm going to go just straight through wherever I can get my hook in. I'm going to go right there. And I'm going to pull up, and remember our second stitch is going to be with blue. So again, decide where you want to keep your strings. This round, actually this round is all white, so forget about that. Since it's all white, we're just going to keep doing our single crochets, not changing colors. So you can see that one just a little bit better, and then keep going through the center of each stitch and do your entire round in white. There we go. Keep them loose. If you don't, this stitch should be enjoyable. It wasn't for me the first time I learned it. It was horrible. It was actually really horrible. I hated it. I wanted to throw my crochet down. I was so angry. I don't remember if I cried, but I probably cried. And then I learned that my tension was way too tight. So you got to push it back. Remember to keep pushing it back. And if you get snagged up, just undo it, loosen your stitch again. If they get too tight, you really have to struggle to try to open them up. And especially when you're switching colors, the tension can get super tight on them. Okay, so there I've done some there, and you can see it's kind of shaping up, starting to shape up. And as you work these, if you have any questions, I'm going to tell you what, if you have any questions, shoot me an email at stardustgoldcrochet@gmail.com. Leave me a Facebook message, post it on my Facebook wall, or in the Stardust Gold Crochet and Friends group, and and we can I'll go ahead and you post half of the chart, and then you guys can ask questions, and I will post a video on Sunday answering everybody's questions. How about that? All right, guys, I hope you enjoy this tutorial. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the little bell button to get notified of future videos, and I will see you guys on Sunday. Happy crocheting!